This is Steve Weintraub with Collider, and I'm here at New York Comic Con with the Russo Brothers. How are you both doing?
Hello.
We're good.
We're good.
It is a pleasure to see you guys.
Good to see you too, sir.
This is my first time talking to you guys since some announcement in San Diego a few months ago. So I'm just saying congrats on coming back. Or
thank you.
Welcome back to the party.
We always said Secret Wars
Hi.
will get us back.
I didn't mean to start with this, but I'll start with this anyway. I moderated that panel with you in Hall H before COVID.
Yeah.
And we were covering a lot of stuff, and I made you answer like 5 Secret Wars questions to start that panel off, joking around, but it was, so anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this, but it was like, but I made you, you know what I mean? Like that was the thing you said. If
You manifested it.
You made us super uncomfortable by asking those questions.
No, you manifested it. It wouldn't have happened without those 5 questions.
I don't know. I don't think it would have happened without Downey. But that's all. But the thing about this is, Secret Wars can be. Fuck it. Let me get to that later. Let me get into other things first because I have a lot of stuff on that too. So when I watch the new film, am I going to cry about a robot getting hurt?
I mean, it's certainly a complicated tone. I think you're going to laugh and you're going to cry in that movie.
I'll just say this. I cry about that in this movie.
Yeah, because I'm very nervous. I watched the trailer that just hit today, and I'm like, oh, I might be tearing up over a robot.
Well, the robots in the film are more human than most of the humans in the movie. So they're certainly very relatable. It's a lot of, cutting edge technology we're using to, bring them to life with some incredible animators and artists and some amazing actors playing those characters. And this has really been a movie 5 years in the making because it's very ambitious. 90% of the characters in the movie are robots, and so there's just a ton of work that went into that, and I think they come off very dimensionalized, and they can break your heart.
Where are you in the editing process? It comes out in March. We're now in October. When is the movie done?
We're down to the final mix.
We just finished the score with the amazing Alan Silvestri. We just finished recording the score. Visual effects are done. Yeah. We're sound mix, maybe another 3 weeks or a month, and we'll have a showable movie. But we're not going to show it until March.
Sure, but also I think people need to realize that even when you finish it, it then needs to be in other languages, and there's months that are going to be.
There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah. You have to finish it by a certain point to make it so it can come out around the world on the same day.
That's right.
Yeah, very much. There's a lot of work to do.
I don't want to do any spoilers, but you've done a lot of stuff through your career. Do you consider one of the shots in this film to be one of the hardest things you've ever done? Talk a little bit, because I know that it's VFX heavy, which is why, it took so long in post. I'm just curious what it was like. And I'll start with that.
Well, it's a tough question. I don't know if I point at one single shot, but I will say this. We've worked with visual effects a lot in our movies. This has been the most amount of visual effects we've ever dealt with in a film. So it was that was challenging itself in terms of creating that. Also, we were trying to do a very grounded real world that has a period feel to it. So we had to have a high level of fidelity in the visual effect work to recognizable realism, so people would understand it as period. So it was a difficult film to execute, and we had an amazing team. We couldn't be prouder of the work that everybody did. The design of the film is breathtaking, and it really does. This movie is inspired by an incredible graphic novel by Simon Stålenhag, who our job was just do justice to his amazing artwork, and I hope that we did with the film.
I'm sure you guys have done some screenings for friends and family or whoever. What did you learn from those early screenings? Did you know what I mean? Because those things will always illuminate where you're at.
I mean, this is that kind of movie that's tough to screen because so much of it is in the visual effects. We always put people in a room to watch something, and it's more important than soliciting opinions is just feeling their energy in the room. You can tell, you can feel when people are confused. They get a little restless, or when they're bored, or so I think that, for us, it's an important part of the process, is because, we make movies for audiences. We want, it's important for us to see how people are reacting to the story, where they're following it, where they're not. And this is very new and very dense mythology. We set the table for this new mythology in the first 10 minutes of the movie. That was, I think, always the trickiest part, was making sure people followed every aspect of that new mythology.
So when I watch the trailer and I see what you guys are trying to accomplish, I can't compare it to another movie. Like Real Steel had some robots, but it wasn't the way this is looking. Do you see this as like really original, and like, is there anything you would compare it to, or no?
I mean, that's one of the greatest things that we could ever hear about something. Like when you have trouble comparing it to something, I feel like you're in a good spot as an artist. And I think that this movie does exist in a very strange, original space. And we're just very eager for people to experience that.
I know it's coming obviously to Netflix. Is there any plans for like any theatrical showings, or is it, because I know Netflix is very much like it's on the service?
Yeah, there's no theatrical run attached to it. I'm sure we'll do some theater screenings of the film for fans, but it's not intended for any theatrical release.
Yeah, I'm hoping, because I live in LA, that maybe you guys will screen it at the Egyptian, or in New York at the Paris. You know what I mean?
We'll absolutely do special screenings. Yeah.
Yeah, like I would like to see your movie on a movie screen. Just throwing that out there.
For sure.
So
we'll do it just for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. If you want to do a Collider screening, I'm pitching it right now.
Done.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's get that on the books.
You let me know. So one of the things is Chris Pratt has a very unique look in this. He doesn't look like anything he's done before. Was it Chris's idea? Was it your guys' idea?
It was a combination. I mean, I think, the movie is period, right? It's set in an alternate 1994. His character is a veteran of the human robot war that precedes the film. And he's a society dropout, right? He's dropped out and disconnected. And he's like a product of the 80s. That was his early 80s. That was his heyday. And so his character is reflective of somebody who's a little bit frozen in time, because they've pulled away.
Yeah, but he did. Chris, you have to ask Chris this story, because he'll tell it way better than we can. But he did have a neighbor when he was a kid growing up that he based the character on. Apparently, he was living in this apartment complex in Alaska, and his neighbor, he would watch MTV on television. Then he would see his neighbor out in the backyard, and his neighbor would wear like skin tight, like tiger print pants, and he had like long bleached blonde hair. And he had like an electric guitar that he would jump on a mini trampoline. And he goes, I thought David Lee Roth was living in my apartment complex. And anyway, this guy was the part of his inspiration for the character.
I have a bunch of things I still want to ask you about. As you know, I am a huge fan of the Extraction franchise. Please give me a good update on Extraction 3. Yeah,
we're in the middle of working on that story right now. Hard at work. And we're hoping to go into production on it next year.
Do you think it's definitely filming next year, or is it a maybe?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely filming next year. It's I'm just being cagey because it's more fun to.
Sure, I get it. Have you figured out who the end of Extraction 2? There's like the big boss that Idris works for. Did you figure out who that character is? Have you know what I mean?
Yes, we know who that character is. I mean, it was built that way. But I think if you like that relationship between Idris and Chris, then you're going to enjoy Extraction 3.
Got it. You guys you're working on Citadel season 2 right now.
That's right.
So are you directing all the episodes?
I'm directing 4 of them. We have this other thing that we have to go do.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if that other thing impacted your directing the whole season.
No, it was really a function of, this season builds to a giant climax. And the last 2 episodes are very complicated. and it was going to be impossible for me to prep them while I was directing the other episodes. So just as a choice for, quality, I felt it was better to bring in a really good friend of ours named Greg Utanis, who did a lot of the, great episodes of the first season of House of Dragons, and is an incredible director. And
I completely agree.
He's actually he's directing right now while we're here, and he's crushing it.
Do you know you're filming right now? So do you think Citadel season 2 would be on next year?
Yeah, it'll be out in the fall next year.
All right. Jumping into something else you guys are working on together. Where are you in the writing process of something called Avengers?
We are right in the middle of the writing process. Yeah.
Is it Marcus and McFeely, or is it who is actually working on the script?
It's Steve McFeely is writing the script.
Right. I'm assuming you guys are intricately involved.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've always worked very closely with Marcus and McFeely through all the work that we've done together. And that's the absolute.
And they're both partners in AGBO with us. I mean, this is, we're very tight collaborators, all of us. Yeah.
Do you think with Infinity War and with Endgame, you guys shot them together? Will you be doing that with these 2 upcoming Avengers films, or do you think that can't work?
It'll be similar, but we'll have a larger break in between the 2 movies than we did. I think it was 4 weeks, maybe. Do you remember? Was it 4 weeks in between?
I think it was less, but yeah.
Infinity War and Endgame? Yeah.
I think it was a couple of weeks, but no, these are more properly, they're not as separated as you would normally separate 2 films of this scale, but they're more substantially separated by a year or so.
Oh, so, and again, I don't know if you've announced this, but do you know when, do you have a start date that you need to start filming this first one?
We do.
I like that. I know it's next year, so it's just a question of, so you're not going to tell me.
Well, it's in the spring.
Yeah.
Can I ask, is it London or Atlanta?
We haven't made up our minds yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding. We have. It's probably better not to say.
Yeah.
I mean,
look, we're being sort of reticent because we're still figuring a lot of this out.
No, I totally get it. One of the things that I love is seeing movies in IMAX.
Yeah.
So, and I think that what's been going on with Dune and with Nolan and it's just an IMAX film is an amazing experience. Is there any chance you guys are thinking about IMAX film for these Avengers movies?
Absolutely. I mean, hopefully these are, 2 of the biggest movies of the decade, and, they deserve to be seen in the IMAX format. And those are all the conversations we're having right now.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't think a lot of people realize it's not like there's months before filming begins where it's like these are all the decisions being made. But so here's my next thing. So you guys are obviously writing the scripts, and there's, Feige has talked about how these movies are going to have so many characters. What is it like in the writer's room trying to figure out what actors we need versus what Marvel might want versus what works for the story? Do you know what I mean? What is that sort of writing? What is it like behind the scenes?
It's a little bit like getting back on a bike. It was a process that we did so intensely for a decade that, we have we have a really codified process that we all work together through, Anthony and Steve, that we collaborate with, and we collaborate with Kevin and the folks at Marvel. So, it's very complicated.
Sure.
To iron out a story of this scale, and the ambition is, similar to Infinity War and Endgame. These are going to be very, very big movies with a lot of characters in them and a lot of storylines coalescing. But we're very excited about the stories. That's why we came back, because we felt like we had a really strong idea for what these movies should be. And we're really happy with how they're coming together right now.
And I would just say you hear it in your question. There's a lot going on, but the way we always work our way through the process, and this is what we've done our entire road through our careers and our time at Marvel, etc., is we just default to what moves us the most, what excites us the most, what is the most powerful version of storytelling we can do here, and that's kind of how we clear up all the all the other issues in the room.
I mean, I think I speak for a lot of fans that we're all very excited that you guys are coming back to helm these movies. But I am so curious. You hit such home runs with Infinity War and Endgame. Was there any hesitation, like honest conversations about, do we want to go back and like try to do it again? Or like, we have the skill set, let's go fucking do it again.
I mean, look, on some level, those movies can seem intimidating because they were such successes. But what motivated us to come back wasn't, we're not chasing that. What we're chasing is this idea that we felt there was more powerful storytelling to be done. And that's what motivated us when we tuned into a story that we felt like had to be told, that we wanted to tell, and that would be an incredible thrill, not just for us, but for audiences. That's kind of what we're focused on. We can't really control, sort of how things, what ends up to a movie after you make it. All we can do is put our best effort into making it.
Yeah, there's no better experience as a filmmaker than, galvanizing audiences around the world and getting them excited about a really ambitious story. And, it's certainly was a highlight of our careers, was sitting in audiences watching Infinity War and Endgame with those audiences when it was electric and felt like a rock concert. And, stories are one of the last things that we have left that bind people together still. Doesn't matter where you're from or what your political persuasion is. Everyone comes together for stories of this scale, and to have the opportunity to try to do that again, and to have the opportunity to try to get people excited about a story that they all can all get behind and share in together was really attractive to us, because we knew it had the potential to be another really special experience.
I know I have to wrap with you, but just real quick, you cast very instrumental characters in your Marvel movies. And I'm just curious, I know with these Avengers films, I am very confident that you will be introducing characters to the MCU that perhaps we haven't seen yet. And so what is it like for the two of you to have that opportunity again to introduce, I'm going to leave it blank, but
Great Lakes Avengers.
You know what I mean, though? Like, because I'm in the writing process right now, you're obviously breaking down, like, who are these characters going to be? Who do we want to cast? Like, it has to be amazing to be, you know what I mean?
That's the exciting part of it.
I mean, it's like, we all have such a long time investment in these characters. Whether you're fans of the characters before the comics, or even if you just came to them in the MCU, it's that time that we've all invested in these characters. It just makes their meaning and their resonance and their possibilities all that more powerful and intriguing and sort of thrilling. So yeah, it's, when you have that emotional investment, it's a thrill of a lifetime.
I just have to ask you real fast. I know they're going to kill me. So I just used the Apple Vision Pro headset, and I watched Edward Berger's Submerged film. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
What was the experience like? Did you like it?
It was incredible being on the boat like that, on the submarine. And I found it's a whole new language of filmmaking that has to be figured out and explored. But the thing that struck me the most, and my jaw was on the ground, was being at the All-Star game and looking to my right and seeing Stephen Curry, and could see his sneakers, and looking around, and I felt like I was there. And I'm just curious, this technology is clearly in its infancy, but it has the power to transport you to like anywhere.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious, because I know you're obsessed with technology.
We love immersive storytelling, right? And I think that the direction that technology is heading in will allow you to be more immersed than you have been in the past. There's a distancing effect, right, between, the way content has been presented, stories have been presented to people for the last 100 years, only in that, it's on a wall and it's away from you. And what, that headset does is it surrounds you with it. It almost becomes a full sensory experience. I think that's where it's going. I think that's where you're going to see new stories being told in an immersive way that will combine even more of your senses and on a deeper level than you've ever seen before.
I think a horror movie would give you a heart attack in that Vision Pro headset.
I play VR horror games and I have to stop after 30 minutes. Like my heartbeat is racing. It's very intense. It was an experience I had. We were working with Glenn Derry, who ran Fox Labs, and this was like 7 or 8 years ago. And there was a VR experience that someone had created, and Anthony and I put on the headsets and went into space, and it was something traumatic had happened, but it was a fantasy world, and it was a very simple exercise. But it was a woman crying on a spot that if something had burned to the ground, and there were bones there, and it looked like a loved one had died. There wasn't a lot of context to the storytelling, but it was so powerful that I remember taking it off and going, wow, that might be one of the more intense experiences I've had in a story with no words. And I was blown away by it. And so I'm excited about what the future holds, what technology can do for us on a storytelling level, and the way it will be able to, capture our emotions.
I completely agree. And that for people, it's really incredible, that the Vision Pro and that immersive stuff. I was blown away.
We spend a lot of our time playing with that technology and developing it.
Yeah. I have to stop. I'm just going to say, I can't wait to see Electric State. I know they didn't believe I would ever end, but thank you both so much for coming in.
Always love talking to you, man.
And thank you.